Hello, this is Grant. Welcome back to another episode of Dead Rising 2 Master Run. So on this one, we're going to be taking on a psychopath. It's the Here Comes the Groom scoop. It's a pretty cool little scoop. I think it's kind of thing. I don't really know the whole backstory behind it, but there's some cool stuff about it. We're going to head over here to this little chapel where we're going to encounter a giant chainsaw-wielding psycho who is trying to get his father to forcibly marry him to whoever he can find, because he promised his father that he would wait till marriage and he does not want to die. It's kind of a cool little scenario. He's pretty tough, and there's not a lot of good ways to deal with him. I like to take this little rocket launcher. You unlock the main version by killing the magicians at the end of the game, but this was going to work just fine. We don't really need that double PP, and you can always make it there. I almost think it's in 10 for this fight. It's a little clunky, but it does let you get a ton of damage early on.
Randall, my son.
So, this is Randall. He is quite the deviant, as I'm sure you can see. In fact, I don't know if I catch it here, but there is a blood-stained mattress over on the side and a massager, as this game calls him. I don't know what the deal with the chance is. I mean, I know he needs it, but I can't imagine how that plays into it. I wonder what he does here. Like, I assume his father probably works there because his father is a minister. But what does Randy do?
You wanted me to wait until I was married? Well, I'm not waiting anymore. Oh, I knew I wouldn't die a virgin. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. Cut to the end, Dad. Cut to the end.
So he's got a couple things about his fight.
Cut to the end.
You can knock him down, kind of like Slappy. He has a weak spot that is that pig on his crotch, where if you hit it hard enough, he'll get stunned. Otherwise, he is surprisingly fast, but if you dodge him long enough, he will become winded and has to wait, so you can get in on him there. Plus, you can dodge him using the cubicles.
You're trying to ruin the happiest day of our lives?
I always felt like this would suck. He literally just walked in. He has no idea what's happening. He just walked in and saw, "You're trying to ruin the happiest days of our lives." And I imagine he's like, "What?" But anyway, we're going to try and stun him here. Unfortunately, I accidentally shoot myself. If you can get a good run where you get him like really far up, you can do a ton of damage before he reaches you. So here I'm just trying to find a good range, but apparently I'm not used to exactly how long the blast radius is on that. Plus it's a heavy weapon, so you can't take it with you when you jump over the pews. So I try to get some distance to him, but he is extremely fast. I still have some pizzas from Slappy, so I'm not too concerned. Plus there is some random stuff. And if I need it, there's a spoiled hamburger, which is going to give it a full heal should I choose to use it. I was hoping to work it out, but I end up going just for the classic claws. You can unlock and use his chainsaw, which is quite powerful, as you saw by his 3 hearts of damage he just did. It's really good. It's just not, I think, worth coming to get it every time. You can get 2 books to make it last longer, and it is great at just clearing out crowds. So as you can see, that makes short work of him if you don't want to go with a firework strategy. You can really just dodge a lot using the pews and jumping over them, as long as you're not too close, because you can still swing over them. But there's a kind of cool little end where the other bride turns out to be a zombie and gets up to come after him.
Baby, we could have been so good together. Our wedding night would have been so...
Terrible way to die. I think this is like a nice, well-written scoop. It's awesome. It gives you an unlock. You get a survivor. You can't save his dad, unfortunately.
You may now kiss the bride.
I don't know if that line was the best choice, but it's a nice scoop. I wish this was just going on constantly and you could unlock it whenever you happen to decide to take it on. But it's fine. overall, it's just pretty solid. So you can take Danny back. Danny just cries a lot. So as you can see, there's that mattress and the massager, as I said before. I think that's a nice little touch. Because who knows what he got up to here before then. But it's better that he's no longer a threat. So now we just need to escort Danny back, which is pretty easy with this chainsaw. It does a lot of damage though, so you have to take care not to kill her. You do get 25 PB for every kill. It has a pretty good moveset. Unfortunately, you do 2 amazing swipes and then 1 really meh swipe where you do like a pelvic thrust like he did. Which, it works. I've never actually had the opportunity to use this on bosses. It definitely falls into the, it's really powerful, but getting it dropped every few seconds kind of sucks category. But, take what you will. I usually just pick it up when I'm passing by, and you can use it to just tear through hordes of zombies pretty easily. If you really want to have fun, take this down to the bunker, which is pretty close, like the entrance. You can just follow it down, and there's plenty of zombies for you to just tear apart alive with this, or tear apart dead, I suppose. I think the game's official stance is that zombies are already dead, like there's no bringing them back. And I could see that because they can sustain injuries that no human could, so even if you did bring them back, it's not like you could replace a hand. Well, I mean, you could, but they've already had the whole trauma and all that. Anyways, like, I don't know how zombies survive. Like, I think they look the way they do because at some point they were bitten. But I could only imagine that this is in Nevada. It's got to be so hot and just like standing out here in the sun all day. That can't be that great for them either. And that, in a way, I wonder if zombies would just naturally decay. You wouldn't. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to do that because even if it takes like a couple months, it'd be safe. But then you have the threat of zombies getting out, whereas the firebombing would take care of that. It'd be kind of cool to see a Dead Rising from a bigger standpoint. Like, how does the general world view zombies? Because they have them around just for Terra's reality, so they must have rounded them up somehow. And they know it's a threat, but unless it actively is like happening to you, like there's an outbreak, it can't be that big. Or like even like how common are outbreaks? Like there's like obviously citywide outbreaks like this where they have 100 or so zombies they could release instantly, but if just one person like can't find Zombrex and turns, it seems like you could have minor outbreaks where like, oh well, they just turn in their apartment and maybe a few people turn, but it's not terrible, it gets reported. So, I was hoping to get some money by destroying these machines, but their drop rate is apparently pretty low, even though I can one-shot the machines. Also, I'm surprised that since Zombrex is such a valued drug because you need it every day, and inherently the fact that if you're already infected, I assume you can't get doubly infected. So it seems like they would, if you were infected, your best bet would be for them to offer some kind of like military job where you're guaranteed Zombrex and then you have to work with zombies because you're not like going to be infected. You're already infected. So it seems like that'd be a good kind of a win-win. So like I think that's basically what Frank West does, is that he works, I assume he works for either just still as a reporter, but some kind of zombie related thing, and then that gets him a good supply of Zombrex as well as the fact that he is his relative immunity. I think actually the way that game starts is him treating this whole Dead Rising 2 series as a vacation, because it's like, to him it's just like this giant like carnival ride. Like, yeah, he could die, but he can't be infected, and he's used to zombies at this point. If I recall, what I'm doing here is I had to go look for a gun, and that's what I was doing around. I don't need it to be full, I just need to have one in my inventory for the Stewart quest. He has a briefcase full of money, presumably, and he is looking for a bodyguard to hire, but he will only do so if you have a gun. And there's a couple places. I like to just go look around the strip. You can go inside the Atlantica as well, but I can't think of any set spawns off the top of my head. You could probably find a handgun pretty easily. That's usually the best way, is just find like a reserve man or whatever they're called. They're not police in this game, but they have those brown uniforms. It is weird how much everything kind of blends together now. But we have a little bit of time to kill before Stewart arrives. So I got the gun, but until the next hour, we have to waste some time. Anytime you see me just kind of doing this, is usually just because I have time to waste. Usually I'll go get or got some more money. We are above the 100,000 limit, but I do want to get that car, so it all helps. Just checking the time. I have a bad habit in real life and in game where I'll check my watch and I'll be like, oh yeah, it's that time, and then I immediately like, what time was that? I have to go look at it again. So you can see here, there's a gun there as well you could grab. Really, just as long as you know what to look for, they're pretty easy. I was thinking, I really wish that they had some other really cool weapons to use in this game. Like, I was thinking that handcuffs would be really cool, so you could like handcuff zombies together and manipulate them like with physics. So like maybe you chain one, and then you chain one zombie A, you chain zombie A to zombie B, and then you get zombie B in a wheelchair, and you just pull both of them. And then hell, maybe have no actual limit on how many zombies you can chain together. And then maybe just chain one to the SUV or something. It gives me flashbacks to Just Cause 2, which you could chain stuff together. And to be fair, that game is much better with a mod because you had a limit on one and your chain would always break. But with a mod, you could say, okay, no weight limit. So you would just, like whenever you would like get chased by helicopters, you would just chain the two helicopters together and they crash. Or it essentially turned into a giant Spider-Man game, which was a blast. Like I would drive a car, and particularly I remembered I would like chain my car to a person, to another person, to another person, to a hot dog cart, and I would just drive the car around, and you'd make these wide turns, and this chain would swing around. It's a blast. So it would be like that, but with zombies in Dead Rising, which I think kind of fits. Like the zombies make such great cannon fodder to do silly stuff with weapons. All in all, Dead Rising is a game that's sillier than it is serious. I don't know if I would say it's like straight up silly, but there's some kind of, I would call it like this implicit silliness where it's a serious in context, but out of context it's like so crazy. Like in an actual zombie outbreak, you would like use whatever possible weapon you can find to defend yourself. But as a game, some of the weapons you use, like, yeah, I could see you using a dildo or a massager to defend yourself if it was life or death. But knowing that it's not life or death, it's pretty funny. So here I'm just going to heal Danny up because I accidentally punched her a lot with my spiky gloves. And thankfully she's okay with eating raw fish after her ordeal. Maybe the fact that she enjoys raw fish is why she didn't want to marry him. If you know what I mean. Anyway, it's time to go get Stewart. Yep, and we just had to make sure. Time is such a weird thing in this game. Generally everything occurs on the hour. There are a couple select missions like Tape It or Die that occur at like 9:45 or 10:03 or something, but for the most part it's every hour you get new missions. And generally they, especially in one, they are pretty nice where they'll put like a whole bunch together in one area. They don't, it's not like in this game if they gave one like, okay, you have 3 missions, you have to go to the Yucatan, the arena, the underground, and Palisades or something. Because that would just be annoying. Oh, Janice, I was wrong. Stewart is a dude from earlier who's trying to start a mutiny in the security room. So Janice, one, you need a gun. Janice's big problem is he will not drop his case, so you can't give any other weapons, and you cannot give him food. So that's actually a huge issue. If he takes too much damage, he won't be able to defend himself, and you can't heal him any way that I know of. It'd be nice if there was some kind of other healing item, like maybe a juice you could throw at people. I really need to sit down and try some of the juices, because painkiller is the only one that really works, in my mind. Like, there's other good stuff, but since you can make painkiller from any alcohol, and alcohol is just always around, especially in the casinos, which are where the blenders are, it's just ubiquitous. It's amazing in every situation. Other stuff like Quick Step would be cool, because it would up your walking rate, but really, in my mind, in one at least, it didn't last long enough to matter except for some battles. And it wasn't worth the time. If the game was harder, I would love to go and like find areas where it's easy to make, because there's a lot of things. It's like with security rooms where security rooms are around to be relevant, but they also almost always are in close proximity to at least one source of a weapon you can make always. Like the spiked bat in the first security room in Royal Flush. It's always right next to there, so you can make it anytime you go through. Well, blenders are the same way, usually with the painkiller, where the ingredients are right there, so if you know that, you can always make it. In Dead Rising 1, there's like the food court where there's like there's 2 yogurts, so you might as well make quick step when you're there. Or in Paradise Plaza, next to the katana, there's always unlimited orange juice, so you might as well make nectar if you need it. So, but it's just not as important. And I think it's also very hard for the average person to memorize what kind of juice it makes. I think the game could benefit, if it's going to continue using the juice system, to make that easier to understand. Either let you look up combos you have already used, or just make it more understandable, like saying any kind of alcohol will always create painkillers, or the painkiller juice. Or like, I know you can make nectar with orange juice in a lot of foods, but it's not every food, so sometimes you end up with randomizer. Or just how, like, I know in 1 you could actually use vegetable oil to make randomizer from pretty much anything, but vegetable oil isn't listed as a food in that game, so it's unfortunate. One of the things I kept meaning to do is there's a hidden combo card where you combine the nectar juice with a queen, and it makes the queen join your side and it flies around and slays zombies for you. It's the last card I actually need to unlock that achievement, but I've never made it because it just never seems to fit. I don't know if it still exists, but there was also originally a glitch for some reason where it was like if you had that item, which was called Wingman, and you had a gun out, for some reason the Wingman would use the gun's durability, which meant if you never fired the gun, you would always have this Wingman following around killing zombies, which would be pretty cool. Like I said, I've never had the chance to do it because I never make nectar, and I would rather just throw queens. But it could be kind of cool. Like, I gotta wonder, like, how does that influence psycho fights, you know? If, like, I wonder, some of this stuff I just wish I had more time, and if there's interest, I'd love to go around and, like, show off all the combo weapons, do the good, the bad, the ugly, about what really works. Because I'm sure there's a lot of, oh, this is great, but it's not worth the time, or, man, this is a secret weapon. You totally need to make this every time you get the opportunity. But so we got those back. We got $70,000 from that guy we were escorting, whose name I already forgot. And that's pretty nice. It does help you significantly on the way to doing the poker mission, which occurs, I believe, starting at midnight tonight, or 1 a.m. So we'll need to start getting magazines and such, because it's going to be pretty important that we do not miss those, because it can go very, very wrong, and we do not want that. Because it's poker, so it's all based off random events. You can get the gambling magazines to improve your odds, but if you go all in on a high card of 2 and 3, nothing's going to save you. I'm sorry to say. It's weird thinking, like, just like 2 weeks ago, I wasn't familiar with this game at all, and now I've just broken it down so much. And there's so much more I'd like to learn that I just haven't had the opportunity to. Like, and same with Dead Rising 1. Like, it's just too bad I didn't start this earlier. I'm really looking forward to doing new games coming up to be like a little bit more relevant. Looking at Borderlands, I think would be a good fit if I can find something master run worthy. If not, I'll do thinking about some area breakdowns. Let me know what you'd like to see. I have the potential to do Dead Rising 3 if you'd like me to stay with the Dead Rising series. But from what I've heard, it's a pretty easy game, and I feel like it's not as necessary. Like, there's not a lot of stuff that I could really add, because you don't need a lot of tips on, like, the psychopaths and such. It will just really be, oh, here's me doing it. I'd love to actually expand some live action stuff as well. I'm in the middle of kind of rebranding some stuff on the channel, but which by now hopefully should be out. And really setting a new quality for it. I'll have the Dark Souls drinking game out, which is amazing in my mind. It is one of the best things I've ever done to the channel, and is an absolute blast. So I'm hoping I can get that all together. I lost a bunch of footage for that as well, for different reasons, and that always sucks. It's hard to get that back because doing it live is something you can't just refilm it. You see in the background there, they actually licensed the motorcycle company and Playboy logos for this game. The Playboy thing I think was kind of interesting. It definitely sells the... I think it sells the Fortune City, Las Vegas thing pretty well. I don't know about the motorcycle thing. I originally thought that that was just like a made-up brand, but they do have its logo at the very end of the credits with the Playboy one, so maybe. And with the Playboy thing, maybe it was just like a way to advertise better, or I don't know, just sell it better to 14-year-old guys. Hard to say. There's anything too racy, I think, in the game. In fact, Dead Rising 1 was probably worse. There was nudity in Dead Rising 1. To be fair, it was just a painting, but it was enough that I think in the European versions of the game, it actually is censored. They redid the painting where she has like a toga or something. Fun fact, I actually call it out in that my Dead Rising 1 series. I'm like, oh hey, there is nudity. That is interesting. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, check out one of the links below. Till next time, don't take your zombie safety for granted.